This is an Evergreen Media Network production. And now, it's time to put you on the spot with EGM.
How's it going, everybody? And welcome to another edition of On the Spot. I am your host, William Tiller, and today on this edition of On the Spot, I am joined by an awesome guest here, the CEO of the Hibiscus Children's Center, Matt. And Matt, we were just talking off air about all the wonderful things you do at the Hibiscus Children's Center there. And if you want to kind of talk about yourself and the sort of things you do at the Hibiscus Children's Center.
Sure. Good afternoon, William. It's nice of you to have us here. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Hibiscus Children's Center is primarily a child welfare organization. It was started about 40 years ago because a lady down south in Martin County found out that there wasn't a place. She didn't know that there was a place on the Treasure Coast for when kids were removed from their homes because of abuse or neglect. She was not aware there were any place on the Treasure Coast for the state of Florida to take those kids after they were removed. So she got together, and it's a longer story than that, William. I know you got a lot of questions today, but in the final version is she started Hibiscus Children's Center, and today Hibiscus has provided 475,000 safe nights for kids over the last 39 years, kids who have been removed from their homes because of abuse or neglect. That's not all we do, but that is our primary responsibility. If the state removes a child from their home because of abuse or neglect, and the parent there are no family members or friends that are able to take the kids in, they call an organization like Hibiscus. And generally, they call us all the time. We get called every day. We get referrals every day from the Treasure Coast and other parts of Florida, frankly. We're primarily a Treasure Coast organization, but we are a state child welfare organization. So we will take kids referrals from other parts of the state if we have a bed open for that kid. And we have two residential facilities, one in Vero. We call it the Village. It's for older kids, ages 13 to 17 or 18. Kids age out at 18. We can no longer provide services for kids after they're 18. Then we have a other facility in Jensen Beach in Martin County. We call it the Shelter. It is an emergency shelter for kids up to age 12. So, and the average length of stay probably is 6 to 9 months at either facility, but we do have kids stay with us for years. We have had kids stay with us for years and actually turn 18 and age out of the system.
Wow. Wow, very amazing. And how do children, we were kind of talking about the services you provide, everything. How do children come to this center? How do they find out about you? And if, children want to escape some of those situations they're in, how do they come about to become a member of the Hibiscus Children's Center?
Well, fortunately or unfortunately, there is a process. There is a bureaucratic process for how kids enter the system, and it's a good process. It's a necessary process. But people can't just call up and say, "Hey, I know next door the kids next door are being abused. Can you take them?" It has to go through the Department of Children and Families, which is the state Florida Department of Children and Families, which is the state welfare provider. They are the state organization responsible for child welfare in the state of Florida. And they have local organizations called community-based care organizations. One on the Treasure Coast called Communities Connected for Kids. So we get referrals, William, from these different organizations that they're contracting with the state. They have funding to provide to us. So every kid we get a certain amount of funding to take a kid. If we take a child, if the child is referred to us, and we take them.
I mean, that's just amazing to provide those resources, provide a new home for these children, and provide new opportunities. You're kind of speaking off air about Dave. I mean, this is an incredible story. I'm sure we can make a whole episode about Dave. If you want to sort of tell the people at home about Dave and his success story, about how the Hibiscus Children's Center really turned his life around.
Sure. Real quickly, 3 years ago, a fellow by the name of Dave Miller, and he doesn't mind that I share this story with him. He's very open about it. Dave Miller contacted us, and he wanted to make a donation to Hibiscus at that time. And so finally somebody said, "Well, why are you making a donation?" He said, "Well, I was at Hibiscus when I was a child." So we then kept in contact with him, and we asked him if he would come out and share his story with some of our board members, some of our donors, some of our supporters. And it took him 3 years to process it. But finally he said, "Yes, I'm willing to do that." So this week he came out and he gave 4 different presentations to 4 different sets of donors and supporters of the fact that he and his, and I'll try to make it short, but he and his siblings were found abandoned at a motel in Stewart in about 1990. And they ended up, couldn't find family or friends to take him, so they ended up at Hibiscus. And he really, and I don't want to over promote Hibiscus, but he really talked about the kindnesses that he was shown at Hibiscus, the fact that he was allowed to eat. Food was not used as a weapon against him. His siblings were allowed to eat and eat as much as they wanted. And he had a birthday. His first birthday that he remembers ever celebrating was at Hibiscus Children's Center at our Tilton Family Shelter in Jensen Beach. And It is a very heartwarming story that this he's only 39. He's an entrepreneur, a family man. He's a businessman. He's owned several businesses. He's starting bagel shops in Chicago where he lives now. He's a father. He's a husband. Has 2 young kids himself. And so what he said was, I'm paying forward. I'm helping other people not end up in a child welfare system. That's what he's dedicated his volunteer time to do. And it was awesome. It was just awesome having him here for 3 days.
Absolutely. And I think it's okay to over-promote the Hibiscus Children's Center. When you do things like that, you turn somebody's life completely around, and now he's an entrepreneur in Chicago. And, April is a sort of not a great month, but it is Child Abuse Prevention Month here. And, we talked about sort of the things that you provide, but what are some of the things in the community that Hibiscus does to sort of provide that shelter for children here in the Vero Beach and Treasure Coast area?
Well, you mentioned prevention. April is Child Abuse Prevention Awareness Month. So the attempt is to raise awareness that child abuse is still occurring. It is still a major problem in our society. It didn't go away. And so Hibiscus is more of a organization that takes care of kids after they have experienced abuse. However, we do have 3 programs that we operate in different counties, and I'll do this quickly, but in different counties it would be called primary prevention programs, trying to prevent kids from entering the child welfare system. One is a program called Supporting Families in Crisis, where if a family calls us up and they're having a crisis right now, we send an advocate, a parent advocate out, a family advocate out to them, rather, to assess whatever their crisis is and to begin helping them address that crisis. That person doesn't live with them, but the person stays with them for up to 6 months to try to resolve the crisis and any other issues the family is having. Very often families are having issues like they're under one or both of the spouses underemployed or unemployed. One is maybe has an addiction problem. There are issues like that. So we try to help them get the care they need, get them in the right organization to get treatment for whatever addiction or whatever issue they're having. And we also have a fund that we can help them financially get over the hump, get over the immediate problem. And that's called Supporting Families in Crisis. We served about 500 families last year. It's only in St. Lucie County right now. We are trying to expand the program to other counties, but right now it's only in St. Lucie. But it is an awesome program. It's helped a lot of families. A second program we have is called Safe Care. It is primarily for families with kids from birth to age 5, and it basically is a program to help parents understand this bundle of joy they brought home. What should they do with this bundle of joy?
Right, exactly.
There's no real book that parents can actually open up and talk about this. So it talks about things about how to make the home safe. What illnesses or illnesses or issues a child might have between birth and age 5 that the parent should look out for, and parent-child interaction. What is normal? What is typical? Helping the parents understand that what they're doing is the right thing to do, not to be scared about working with their child. And that's a program where a family can stay in that program for several weeks. Second program we have is called Parents as Teachers, PAT, Parents as Teachers. Just kind of like it sounds, just for early childhood intervention as well. It's a very similar program to Safe Care, except it does not have a curriculum. Safe Care has a curriculum they follow. Parents and Teachers is just trying to help parents learn about how to take care of their kids. Again, parents, what mental health behaviors might they expect? How to discipline, how proper discipline for children very young. Hygiene, nutrition, all those kinds of things. And those are forms of prevention. Wow. Because prevention is often neglect. It is not always abuse. It's very often neglect. And the parent doesn't want to neglect the child. The parent doesn't. They may not know. Right. They may not have been parented properly themselves. So they're really unsure what to do. And these are programs that can help get them on the right path. Absolutely.
And just all the things you provide. We talked about off air about how although you're the CEO, you're basically just keeping the car on the road, keeping it straight. You're taking over an awesome organization. How does the community get involved and sort of help you and help the organization donate, volunteer, that sort of thing?
Well, if you go on, we always need donations. I mean, we have to raise, and I'll just be honest with you, it's a $9 million organization, but we have to raise about $3 million in donations, contributions, and grants just to stay in business. And we do that. We have to do that every year, $3 million every year. So if someone would like to donate, I'm more than happy to have them go on our website. It's very easy to donate online. We always need donations, but we also always need volunteers. I mentioned the residential centers in Vero, it's called the Village. In Jensen, it's called the Shelter. We need volunteers. We need people to come in and read to the kids, folks to come in and tutor the kids. If they have a specific knowledge or whatever, they could benefit the kids. We need volunteers. We need again donors and volunteers. So if anybody would like to donate, volunteer, they can call me directly. I can direct them, or I do have a number they can call for just a general information line.
Absolutely. And you can see that if you're watching along with us here
on the screen,
YouTube and
right.
Facebook. HibiscusChildrenCenter.org. Phone number is 772-299-6011. That's Hibiscus Children's Center. Speaking with Matt here. He is the CEO. And Matt, before we wrap up today on the spot, anything else you want the community to know about your organization or any events or anything that you have coming up here?
Well, there is a third, I would call Hibiscus a three-legged stool. I mentioned residential services and I mentioned our prevention programs. There is a third leg, and that is our community mental health programs. We have I think something like 15 full-time or part-time therapists on staff.
Wow. That
actually go out into the home, into the communities, and provide outpatient mental health counseling to families. And we served about 600 families in that program. And that's a program that is available in all 4 counties and 3 counties and Okeechobee on the Treasure Coast.
Wow. I mean, just amazing things you're doing here. We could talk about Dave all day. We could talk about all the amazing things you do at the Hibiscus Children's Center. But Matt, we're going to wrap it up here on the spot. We want to thank you very much for joining us here today.
Thank you,
very
William.
much for providing all that information out there to the community as well. Again, that is HibiscusChildrenCenter.org. Go check them out today. Find out ways to volunteer. We'll catch you next time on the Spot.